Our viewer question today is about beans, and they are curious if canned beans and cooked beans are equal, if there's a big difference between the two, and kind of what you think about that.
I'm a big bean fan. I love beans any way, shape, or form. And beans, any kind, frozen beans or canned beans, any beans are better than no beans. And so, by and large, because really, what's the beauty of beans? They've got a rich protein content. They've got a remarkable fiber called resistant starch that our microbiome organisms just love, the resistant starch in beans. And there's glycans and helpful nutrients that beans and all legumes just have. So I'm a big fan of those nutrients, and whether you put them in a can or you freeze them or you dry them and those nutrients are still there. The protein's not going anywhere. The glycans aren't going anywhere. The resistant starch isn't going anywhere. So it's a matter of convenience. If you are now living in a place and a lifestyle where you just don't have time to cook beans, soak beans, or get into that, absolutely. Open up a can of beans and throw them in a salad, throw them in a soup. It's just a wonderful thing to do. Now, you want to get the best beans you can. If you can afford it, get organic beans, and you want to look on the label on the can. There's stuff called BPA, bisphenol A, that's nasty stuff that they used to line cans with. They have now, the more responsible folks have taken that out. And if you look, you'll see on the label, it says BPA-free can. Yep, that's the one you want. But if you do that, absolutely, I'm a big fan of the canned beans. Some folks, especially chickpeas, as the beans sit in the can and the chickpeas sit in the can, some of the protein will leach out into the water that the beans are packed in, and that water with the protein in it is a good cooking ingredient. You can put it in. I'm told, I'm not a chef, but I'm told you can add that very protein-rich liquid into soups and casseroles. It's a thickening agent. So don't necessarily just pour it down the sink. If you're a chef, you can use that liquid. But by and large, it's always a safe thing, assuming that they're good quality beans and hopefully in a BPA-free can. Absolutely, open up that can of beans and use them. If you're going to soak them, I would usually say soak them overnight, but cook them well. You want those beans because you want to get rid of the lectins, and the cooking dissolves the lectins. So you want to cook the beans, no matter what beans they are, so you can pick one up and just squish it in between your fingers. It's nice and soft and it squishes easily. That's a lectin-free bean. So if you are going to be using the dried whole beans there, be sure to soak them and cook them up real well. But other than that, man, eat those beans however you can get them in. They are always going to do you good.
All right, that's good to hear, because I do think sometimes people can get a little overwhelmed with the dried beans and the soaking and what that means, and to hear about the BPA, to keep an eye out for that in the cans.
Right. One other thing, people, beans, they give me gas. Now, it turns out that there is a sugar on the surface of beans called hemicellulose that some bacteria in your colon, yes, they can ferment it into carbon dioxide and methane, produce some gas. That's another reason to soak the beans. If you're going to be making a bean soup or bean chili, put the beans in fresh water, let them soak overnight. The next morning, spill off that soaking water and then rinse them under the sink a few times. And the hemicellulose dissolves in the water. And so you'll really cut down on that hemicellulose that contributes to the gas problem. So if the only thing keeping people from eating the beans, they give me gas, soak them, rinse them, and the gas problem should be much more manageable. So I'm glad that we covered that last point as well. Hi everyone, Dr. Michael Klaper here, announcing our new format for our Q&A with Dr. K. Each day, Andy Hagen will be asking me one question that's been sent in by our viewers. So if you want to see if your question is getting answered, do join us for our daily Q&A with Dr. K right here. Hope to see you then.